So I don't even know where I'm going to start or finish about this topic I'm about to talk about, because I feel like I'm still trying to find a way to verbalize my feelings. I mean, does that ever happen to you where you know what you want to say, but you don't know how to say it? And if you tried to say it, it would all come out sideways. Well, that's me right now. But what I've learned about myself over the years is that if I keep something in and I don't express myself and I let it fester inside, then that will ultimately lead me to acting out in negative ways in the future, and that's not good for anyone. So I'm just gonna talk this out with you, and then I'm gonna put everything out there on the table that I'm feeling, good or bad, rational or irrational, with the hope that we can build off this conversation in a positive way. And what a setup this is. I'm sure you're like, what the fuck is he gonna say? Well, I don't really know yet, so it's most definitely gonna be all over the place, but let me start by giving you some context. So I'm not sure if you know this or not, but we are about to elect a new president for US Soccer, which sadly isn't me, to replace the current one, Mr. President Sunil Gulati, who I believe should have resigned immediately after the massive failure known as us not qualifying for the World Cup, because it wasn't about, as Mr. President Gulati continues to claim publicly, a few unlucky bounces that didn't go our way for that last qualifying game in Trinidad. It was about everything that led us to that point, because we should have never been in that situation in the first place. But for me, it's clear that Mr. President Gulati is in legacy mode, and he's now protecting his legacy at all costs, which is why I believe he refused to resign when he had the chance. However, and probably against what he really wanted to do, he smartly decided not to run again for the presidency. And by smartly, I mean people told him, don't do it. It's not going to get any better for you in the short term. But I can be a hero again by securing the right for us to host the 2026 World Cup. You can still do that in other ways, but politically, you need to go. There needs to be a fresh voice so that people think there's a real change afoot. So we need you to just quietly restructure the role of the presidency on your way out by taking some power away from the position and creating a general manager role. And this is true, by the way. I'm not making this part up. The general manager position was created in mid-December. And then we're gonna need you to publicly and privately back the candidate that most aligns with our interests. Okay, fine, but can we make it seem like it was all my idea? I like appearing as the smartest person in the room. We know. And just for clarification, so I'm not quoted on this, well, Jimmy said in one of his videos, no, this was just a dramatic reenactment of what I imagined transpired in my head. And for further clarification, the inside of my head is such a wonderful place to be. It's a lot of fun. Also, I would call him Sunil like most people do, but since he once scolded me off camera for me calling then FIFA President Sepp Blatter Sepp in one of my videos instead of Mr. Blatter, because he said, and I quote, "The president deserves more respect than that." Well, I actually believe Mr. Disgraced FIFA President Sepp Blatter deserved less respect than that. So history will continue to not be kind to you for that comment to me, Mr. President Gulati. Anyway, like I said at the beginning, I didn't really know where to start this conversation, but since Mr. President Gulati is at the top of everything, I guess it made the most sense to begin there. Also, I should add that even though on the men's side, we didn't qualify for the World Cup or the last two Olympics, which all happened under Mr. President Gulati's watch, the coaches, the players, the scouts, the board of directors, everyone under the US Soccer umbrella that wields some power both on and off the field need to be held responsible too, and I do hold them responsible because we are all in this together. But the disappointing part about all of this, and maybe I'll just say sad because that's how I'm really feeling. So the sad part in all of this, which has been highlighted by the run-up to this big upcoming election day this weekend, where things have been getting pretty ugly since the struggle for power is on full display, is that we are clearly not all in on this together. And we are all not working towards the same thing. And if I'm being honest to myself and to you guys, we never have been. I mean, don't get me wrong, I am an idealist at heart, so I always want to feel like we're working towards the same thing, and that we're doing everything that we can to make the sport as great as it can possibly be in this country, but we're not. Which leads me to how I'm really feeling. The sport in this country is not fun at the moment. It's too heavy and saddled with politics and power and money and greed and anger and righteousness and everyone protecting their own little fiefdoms. In fact, to give you a personal example of these protected fiefdoms, I once held soccer camps in my hometown and I loved it. It pumped me up to give back to the community where I grew up. But very few local youth coaches would tell their players about it. So I never got the numbers that I was expecting for 3 straight years. No growth. So I started looking for answers, and I learned that one, other coaches have their own camps for their own players to make even more money for themselves, so they definitely do not want to lose that income to someone else. And okay, that's fine. I get that, even though I think it's a little weird that you would have a camp for the kids that you see all of the time. Also, full disclosure, I was charging people for my camps, but only to cover the cost of the fields, the other coaches that were helping me, the insurance to cover the whole thing, and a little bit for my time. But I can see now that that only continues the pay-to-play model, which is why I will not be doing that again moving forward when I start my weekly pickup games / camps in Northern California, which I can explain in more detail once it's closer to launching. But it's gonna be awesome. And two, I to this day cannot understand why you as a coach wouldn't want your players to be exposed to someone who grew up in the same area as your players and then went on to play in a World Cup. I mean, come on, put your ego to the side for 1 second and think about the missed opportunity of them being exposed to my outsized ego. I'm the best. But seriously, I don't get it. If I were the coach, I would want my players to hear from and to talk to as many people that have been there as possible, if only to broaden their love and understanding and appreciation of the game, and to maybe give these young players the confidence that helps them follow their dreams as well. And don't get me started on the lack of transparency in the organization as a whole, specifically their relationship with Soccer United Marketing and their loyalty to Major League Soccer, when really they should be looking out for everybody's best interest and not just theirs. Or the lack of solidarity payments to the youth clubs that help develop these talented players, or that our scouting system is whack, or that our women's players deserve better treatment, or that our presence in underserved communities is close to non-existent, and actually no more ors. I don't want to be angry and bitter. So I'm gonna end this on a positive note by saying, we got nowhere else to go but up. And honestly, I think there's a balance to be found where everyone can get what they want. The money people chasing the money can definitely find that, and the player, coaching, scouting, referee, development people can develop players, coaches, scouts, and referees. Of course, that's assuming that people actually want to actively find this balance, and I'm not so sure that they do. But that's more negative stuff. So again, I reiterate, we got nowhere else to go but up. Which means in some ways, I'm now thankful we missed the World Cup, because it's forcing us to take a hard look at what's happening with the sport in this country, and then we can fix it. And I'm not sure that would have happened if we did end up qualifying for Russia. So I think I speak for everyone when I say, thank you, Mr. Outgoing President Galati and everyone else under the US Soccer umbrella. We couldn't have done it without you. And I think that will be your legacy. I hope you like it. Later.